Welcome back, this is CerealSnax. Today I'm looking at a game called Binding of Isaac. It's an indie game, it's available on Steam, it's pretty cheap, I think it's about $3 right now, and there's actually a DLC expansion pack. And you can see I've started playing here. Now, the story, I just got a power up. In this particular game, it's all randomized dungeons. So, in this particular game, there was a special item in a room right next to where I started, so I kind of got lucky. You can see it's a little red baby that's floating next to me, Harlequin baby, which shoots more tears. So, get back to the basics of this game. It's a game from a gameplay perspective that is very similar to the original Legend of Zelda. And you can kind of see that here. Random dungeons, though. Very bloody. You can see the blood all over the ground. And really what it is, it's based off the story, of course, from the Bible, the Binding of Isaac. And it's loosely based on that, because the story in this is that the kid's mother watches TV all day, and she's commanded by her God to remove sin from Isaac's life, which she does, and then he commands her to sacrifice him to appease the God. So, and in this case, Isaac escapes down into the basement, and in the basement he finds a multitude of monsters and bosses and all kinds of stuff. And what he's doing, it's kind of it's a twisted game, although it comes from a story that's relatively twisted as well. But what he's doing is he's shooting out his tears. You can see the tears streaming down his face, and those tears damage his enemies. He can put out fires with his tears. He can destroy like these piles of goo and stuff on the ground that allow him to do all kinds of things. There's a little store just like the original Legend of Zelda game. See, there's like a body hanging from a rope. Like I said, it's fairly gruesome. So see, I'm putting out the fires here with my tears. And so you have this random dungeon setting, and the story itself is pretty gruesome. Like I said, you've got boss fights. I'm currently fighting a boss called the Widow. It's like a spider, upside down spider head, and it drops these eggs that lay other spiders that you have to fight. So some of the other basics, and it's a pretty fast-paced game, and it's a lot of fun. You can just use your keyboard and mouse, and that's what I'm using. I don't know if you can use controllers. I know that there's been some discussion of it. It runs in a little window on your desktop, and I actually had a lot of trouble zooming it in and getting the ability to actually film it so that I could talk about it. But it runs really well, probably on any PC, and you know, the controls are very easy to use on keyboard and mouse. So even if you can't use a controller, I think there's a way to do it, but I have not figured that out yet. Then it's also possible you can play it on an Xbox 360 controller. And even though I have a controller, I prefer just to play it on my keyboard and mouse, just quick kind of playthrough. So you can see I beat the first level, and he has these little dreams. You can see what he's thinking about and crying. And that one, he's trying to hug his mother's leg, and of course she's kicking him away. So, like I said, it's a little bit twisted in that regard. I've got like this crown, which I believe it's a crown called Pageant Boy. I'll have to look it up. All of the items that you pick up in this game give you some kind of benefit. You can see on the top of the screen I have my tears as my primary weapon, which you can then upgrade. There's other types of weapons you can pick up, and it's all random. And then there's also in the second box you can get items that can be used occasionally, so they have cooldowns. I've got some bombs here. You press the shift key and you will launch off bombs. So I'm just moving room to room, just killing all these crazy creatures. Like I said, it's pretty fast-paced and frenetic. But the other thing you can get is money, which you can then spend in the little shops. Like I said, we saw the shop earlier. Now the problem is I didn't find very many keys here, so I can't open that chest. If you destroy the fire, sometimes you get hearts to heal yourself, just like Legend of Zelda. Same kind of mechanics. I really like the storyline. I think that even though it's pretty gruesome and pretty scary, it's a neat, innovative idea. I'd like to see this developer actually make almost like a Legend of Zelda type game, because I think that they did a really good job with the items. They did a really good job with the combat and that sort of thing. So you can see I got this other thing, Mom's coin purse, which you can get all these pills out of it, which is another kind of sad commentary. But and there's like a boss to fight. And I'm not sure what you get in this type of room, because I haven't been able to beat this room, but you can see the different rooms are marked in different ways. This one was marked with a knife. Shows you what you died with. I'm going to go back to the main menu, and I'm going to start another game to show you kind of how the randomness works. So you can see it's completely different, this dungeon. And I'm just running through here, killing the stuff, and getting some bombs here. So pretty fun. In fact, you'll see there's a community online that actually on Twitch TV there's people that actually will do all-day playthroughs of this game. They'll just play over and over and over again to get all the achievements and to see how well they can do and how far they can get. You can see I'm not incredibly great at the game. I only have really gotten to the second level and then I end up dying usually. So it would be a neat thing to be able to get good enough at it to play through the entire game. And I don't think it's that difficult. I just haven't devoted a ton of time to it yet. But there's a lot of replay value. Obviously, since it's a randomized dungeons and you get, there's hundreds of achievements that you can get in terms of items. And of course the enemies are pretty varied. You can see right there it was a kind of a sad child thing that turns into a demon when you attack it. With the randomness that you have, like these flies and this weird jumping creature over here, it just makes it very interesting because it seems like every room I've ever been in seems different to me. And that's something to be said for a game, especially with all the games out that don't have a lot of replay value nowadays. And the story itself, his dreams are different a lot of the time, and I believe the final boss actually can be different. The first boss that you encounter on a dungeon can be, that's pretty gruesome right there, a kid hanging from a noose. But this is the store you can buy stuff from. You get the sad onion, which makes your tears stronger. You can see his tears are streaming more and more down his face, which makes them stronger, so then you can attack your enemies more. But like I'll show you, this particular boss, this is the first boss for the first level. You can see that the first time I played, I hit the widow, and this time I'm fighting against this guy, who is actually, I thought, considerably more difficult. Having trouble here dodging all these. This guy really throws me for a loop because he spits out this huge amount of blood droplets or whatever that is, and so I struggle with him. But like I said, it's fairly random which boss you get, and I believe there's probably a set number of different types of bosses you can get for the first level of the basement, and then more, different bosses as you go further down. So I'll just show you kind of how this is. This will be, if I can beat him, I can show you the second level here. So let's kill this guy. Oh. And the music itself, I don't know if you can hear the music too well on my recording, but the music is pretty epic as well. It reminds me a lot of other indie games such as like World of Goo, which has real epic music even though you're just a pile of goo that's floating around. So they've done well on the music as well. One thing I haven't really mentioned yet, and I probably should have at the beginning of this video, is that I'm actually playing the Wrath of the Lamb expansion. I think maybe I did mention it, but regardless, it adds 10 more bosses. You can see a little dream here where he gets made fun of by a little girl that he likes. But it adds 10 more bosses, I think over 100 new items. I mean, it's 70% more content than the original game had. So, it adds 70% more content. So it's quite a bit of stuff, a bunch of unlocks. There's actually 11 endings, I believe, in the original game, and this one adds a 12th. The Wrath of the Lamb adds a 12th and final ending. Of course, I haven't gotten to the ending yet, but I've heard that the 12th and final ending is actually the canon ending, what actually happens to Isaac. And that said, talking about the story is well done in that regard. I guess this is kind of putting my professor's hat on in a way, but the story of Isaac in the Bible, and then of course compared to other stories that are written by ancient man, such as I guess a good example of it's the Odyssey. People have said that the Odyssey is an example of realistic literature, and that Homer uses a lot of description to describe what is going on, where the Binding of Isaac is a story that's very vague and therefore lends itself to interpretation a lot. So you can see that what the person has done who has made this game is they have used that. They have taken the very vague nature of the original Binding of Isaac story and have interpreted it the way they felt was appropriate. So that's really neat, because when you have real vague stories like that, it really gives you an opportunity for interpretation, and then you have a great game like Binding of Isaac. I think it's a great game. I think it's worth buying. If you're kind of put off by the goo and the blood and just the sad story of this little kid who's trying to fight for his life because his mother's trying to kill him, it's probably not the game for you. But from a gameplay perspective, I really enjoy it, and of course it's a game. It's not reality, so it's nice to be able to just kind of lose yourself in this crazy apocalyptic seeming world that, for the kid anyway, it's the end of his world, right? So I think it's worth getting, and especially for the few bucks that it is, plus you're supporting indie developers who have worked really hard to make a quality game. So that said, I hope you've enjoyed my quick review / commentary on the Binding of Isaac, and I will be back soon with more commentary on other games. So please subscribe to CerealSnax on YouTube, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks very much.